They played kings, queens, dragons. They went from relative unknowns to some of the most recognizable faces on the planet, almost overnight. And then, the show ended. So what actually happened to them? Some built careers that outlasted the hype. Some got honest about things nobody expected. And one of them, number 4 on this list, made a move that genuinely nobody saw coming. Today we're going through the Game of Thrones cast, then and now. And a few of these are going to surprise you. Let's get into it. Emilia Clarke, Daenerys, brain aneurysms, and starting over. When Game of Thrones ended in 2019, Emilia Clarke was one of the most recognizable faces on Earth. Daenerys Targaryen had made her a global name. The expectation, from pretty much everyone, was that she'd slide straight into major film roles and become a box office fixture. Here's what most people didn't know. While she was filming the show, commanding dragons, delivering some of the most watched moments in television history, she survived 2 brain aneurysms, one in 2011, one in 2013. She went public about it in 2019, and the response was enormous. The composed, powerful figure people thought they knew had been going through something genuinely terrifying in private. For years. After the show, she appeared in Marvel's Secret Invasion and founded a charity called Same You, focused on brain injury recovery. It's become a significant part of her public identity, maybe more so than any role she's taken since. The version of Emilia Clarke most people think they know was built on top of something very difficult. And her willingness to talk about it openly changed how a lot of people understood her story entirely. Kit Harington. Jon Snow, then honesty. Kit Harington played Jon Snow for 8 seasons. Died, came back. Found out he was actually a Targaryen. Ended the series in circumstances that divided audiences so sharply, the debate is still going. After the show wrapped, Harington checked into a wellness facility. And unlike a lot of celebrity health stories that get managed quietly and carefully, he talked about it directly, openly, on the record, which was notable for a specific reason. This is a man who spent 8 years playing one of television's most stoic, emotionally closed-off characters. Jon Snow famously knew nothing and showed even less. And then Harington stepped out from behind that character and said, "This level of fame has a cost, and here's what it did to me." He returned to screens in Marvel's Eternals. A Jon Snow spin-off was announced, and later reported to be on hold. His career continues. But the most interesting thing he did after Westeros wasn't a role. It was just being honest. Peter Dinklage, the one who may have played it best. If one actor from the entire Game of Thrones cast navigated the post-show landscape most effectively, most people would land on Peter Dinklage. Here's the thing about Dinklage that's easy to forget. He was already a respected working actor before the show began. Game of Thrones didn't make him. It gave him a global platform. And what he did with that platform is what sets him apart. Multiple Emmy wins for Tyrion Lannister. Widely considered one of the most celebrated television performances of the era. And then, he kept working. Consistently, intentionally, Cyrano as a lead. Film and television projects that showed genuine range. He's also spoken thoughtfully about representation, the kinds of roles available to actors with dwarfism, what visibility actually means, what he wants to do with his. Peter Dinklage used the platform without being consumed by it. In the post-Game of Thrones landscape, that's rarer than it sounds. Maisie Williams. And here's the one nobody saw coming. Okay, here it is. Number 4. Maisie Williams was 14 years old when she was cast as Arya Stark. 14. She grew up on that show, publicly, in front of millions of people, across nearly a decade. By the time it ended, she was in her early 20s and facing the question every young actor faces after a defining early role. What do you do when the character that made you famous is gone? Most people assumed the answer would be more acting, more projects. bigger roles. The standard trajectory. Maisie Williams co-founded a tech platform called Daisy, built to help creative people connect and collaborate. She threw herself into entrepreneurship, meetings, investors, building something from scratch, while most of her castmates were doing press tours and auditions. She has spoken about genuinely preferring to build things, about being more interested in what exists on the other side of the entertainment industry than inside it. A teenager who became famous playing one of the most beloved characters in the most watched show in the world, and then quietly decided that maybe what she actually wanted to do was something entirely different. Nobody had that on their bingo card. And honestly, it's the most interesting post-Geo story of the bunch. Sophie Turner and Nikolai Coster-Waldau, the ones who kept going. Not every story from a massive ensemble cast is a reinvention or a revelation. Some of them just kept working. And that's actually the most honest version of what happens after a show like this ends. Sophie Turner appeared in the X-Men franchise as Jean Grey. She's been candid about growing up in public, about mental health, about what early fame actually looks like from the inside. Her honesty has felt personal rather than managed, which in the celebrity media landscape is its own kind of rare. Dinklage Coster-Waldau returned to film work and became a UN Goodwill Ambassador. He took the platform Jaime Lannister built and pointed it somewhere that had nothing to do with entertainment. Both of them represent the reality that most ensemble cast members don't become global megastars after the show ends. They become working actors with strong credits, sustainable careers, and lives that are less dramatic but more durable. Which is, honestly, probably the smarter play. Game of Thrones gave its cast something genuinely rare. 8 years. The most watched show in the world. A platform that almost no television cast has ever had before or since. And look at what they did with it. Emilia Clarke turned private struggle into public advocacy. Kit Harington chose honesty over image management. Peter Dinklage built a career defined by range and intention. Maisie Williams started a tech company. Sophie Turner and Dinklage Coster-Waldau kept working and kept it real. None of their paths look like what people projected onto the characters they played. And the gap between who the character was and who the person actually turned out to be is probably the most interesting thing about any cast then and now. Drop a comment below. Which cast member's path surprised you most? We like reading all of them. Like if this one earned it. Subscribe for more of this. We've got another iconic cast coming up next, and it's just as good. See you in the next one.